Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Premps, and I am back here with another One Piece theory. Now, since chapter 1010, where we found out that Zoro basically has been confirmed to be a Conquerors Haki user, albeit unknowingly, I've been thinking, what are the ways that he'll learn to master this ability? So in this video, I've decided to take a look at a few dynamics involving Shanks, Conquerors Haki, Zoro, and his goal to defeat Mihawk. But as usual, before I get started, please make sure you leave a like on the video, as it helps me out so much with that YouTube algorithm. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. And lastly, if you like One Piece content and discussing it with others just like yourselves, check out the Void Century Club forum, in which I'll leave a link to in the description to this video. But now those formalities are all out of the way, let's get into this video. So where do I begin? Zoro has consistently proved himself to go above and beyond in all scenarios that he's faced. Most of us in the community have found it so hard to power scale him just in general, because you're either a fanboy that ends up hyping him up way too much, or you're a hater that tries to downplay his feats, mainly in response to the fanboys. But for me, I like to think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm completely appreciative of Zoro and all that he brings to the Straw Hats. And when it comes to strength, he really shouldn't be downplayed, as he's terribly impressive. And he definitely has been for a while. And literally early on, there were a lot that stopped comparing him to Sanji and believed he was far closer to Luffy, which with all that we know now, probably isn't a bad shout. Now his greatest feat, or should I say his greatest feat so far, is post-Thriller Bark, where Kuma showed up and we got that legendary nothing happened moment, which has got to be a top 5 moment in the story, full stop. Now I know it's going to feel like I'm going off on a tangent a bit, but I feel like I need to give some more context of the story before I get into the main crux of this theory, so stick with me. However, I will leave some timestamps in the video for those of you who are impatient. Now all along, I alongside many in the community did not expect Conquerors Haki to be fleshed out this much in Wano. However, its reveal coming through Kaido has been extremely fitting and a terrific explanation as to what has made some of the elite warriors in the story actually be the elite. The One Piece power system hasn't always been the greatest, and I'm sure many still criticize it to date, particularly with the main two forms of power being Devil Fruits and Haki. But since we've learnt about the different strands of Haki, things have been a bit more interesting. In Whole Cake Island, in Luffy's fight against Katakuri, we learned a little bit more about Observation Haki, leading to Luffy learning Future Sight. And then in Udon Prison, Luffy learns more about Armament Haki, leading him to learning Ryo. Or should I say Advanced Armament, which is the ability to damage your opponents from the inside. And he learned this with the help of Old Man Hyogoro. So for me, and I'm sure others too, I believe that this was going to be the final Haki power-up that we got in Wano. And this could be incorporated within Luffy's current moveset, therefore combining it with a Gear 4, or even the introduction of a Gear 5. And this is one of the reasons that I believe that Gear 4's Red Rock was massive at the time it was revealed, because it was the first showing of Luffy incorporating that advanced armament in Gear 4. However, Oda has taken things a step further. In chapter 1001, Oda used Kaido to reveal to us those he holds in high regards, because they can actually damage him. Therefore, using the power of inference, we can deduce that Whitebeard, Rocksteady Zebek, Odin, and lastly Shanks are those who can infuse their attacks with Conquerors Haki. And I don't think that reveal shocked anyone, but for us to go on and learn that Kaido could do the same, and pretty much Big Mom too, just opened a door for so many questions and so many options in the story, because as of chapter 1010, as Zoro was at the extent of his limit, he used that one final attack on Kaido, and that was Asura, and that made Kaido question whether Zoro was using the colour of the Supreme King too. And with such an attack wounding Kaido to the extent that he acknowledged that it will leave a scar, That is what has led me to question how Zoro can learn to master Conquerors Haki. And this will be happening in one of the next 2 arcs, where we encounter Shanks. I've always personally believed that when it came to the Yonko, that Shanks would hold the highest level of Conquerors Haki. And I believe that I will be proved right if he's still alive at the time we're meant to meet him. Now, why did we meet Shanks so early in chapter 1? And why did we see him exhibit Conquerors Haki on that sea monster that ultimately took his arm? How could a man with one hand still hold the title of Yonko, and then be able to stop the Paramount War at Marineford? Particularly if he didn't have some sort of ability that could rival all pirates. But what's far more interesting is that there definitely is an unexplained dynamic between Shanks and Mihawk, and that hasn't been explained yet. But I can envision some of it being flushed out once Zoro meets Shanks. Whitebeard spoke on the legendary duels between Shanks and Mihawk, and Mihawk spoke on the day that a swordsman would emerge to surpass his rival Shanks. And there's the link. What better way for Zoro to surpass Mihawk than him learning from Shanks? If we use Luffy as an example, during the time skip, Luffy trained under Rayleigh and learned the basics of Haki, and although he came out of the time skip pretty much ready for the new world, realistically, he was just about able to survive. The man that Luffy is today is a complete different animal to the man that he was when he left Amazon Lily after 2 years of training on that nearby deserted island, and that was after training with the right hand to the Pirate King. That suggests to me that Rayleigh is definitely a monster. We can look at Zoro in a similar light, where he probably had a more relevant teacher in Mihawk during that 2-year time skip, as he was literally learning from the man he was looking to surpass. Albeit, Mihawk mentioned that it seemed that he had found something more important than his pride. But yes, I can only imagine that Zoro too learned the basics of what he needed from Mihawk. And we know this as he learned both Observation Haki and Armament Haki. However, he didn't learn Conquerors Haki. Or should I say, he didn't learn the basics of Conquerors Haki. So to me, it's either that Mihawk did not know that Zoro had this latent power within him, or Mihawk can't use the power himself, and therefore unable to show Zoro how to use this power. But if you're asking me, I'm going to say it's probably a bit of both, as Kaido only noticed this power in Zoro once he used Asura. And I can't imagine that Zoro found himself in a dire situation whilst training with Mihawk that he would be using Asura, and therefore Mihawk may not have known about this latent power. And this is where I believe Shanks fits the bill, because now we know it's confirmed that Shanks can infuse his attacks with Conquerors Haki. I can only imagine this would be a way that he was able to defeat Mihawk at some point in their battles. And for those of you that don't believe he has, then that's your choice, because surely a rivalry is a close competition. And if you face someone 10 times and beat him 10 times, then it's really not a rivalry. So taking this rivalry as concrete, and Kaido suggesting that Shanks can use Conquerors Haki offensively, then how far-fetched would it be for Zoro to learn how to do this under Shanks? Now, I do appreciate those who think that may be a bit of a reach, because as I mentioned before, my original expectation was that Luffy would be the one to learn advanced Conquerors Haki from Shanks. But as the battle continues to unfold on Onigashima, using Luffy's words, it seems that he's got this. And although I agree with the likes of Mr. Morge, who believes that Luffy will still lose this battle, I believe he is becoming very competent in incorporating that Conquerors Haki with the attacks that he's got. And we've only seen him use it in base. So if someone was to teach Zoro the equivalent of this and how to hone this power, then who in the story is better right now than Shanks? I honestly can't think of anyone. But I guess that just about does it from me. I really enjoyed making this video because although there's so much going on in the story right now, it always gets me thinking, what more is there to come post Wano? Things are definitely heating up, and as we get to the end game where the crew are all going to have to master their strengths to face the likes of the Blackbeard pirates and the world government, I believe that Zoro is going to be so crucial to that battle, and being able to hone that innate power in him might be the key for him. But let me know what you all think. Do you believe that Shanks could be the one to teach Zoro how to master his Conquerors Haki ability? Or do you think it could be someone else? Also, do you guys and girls think that Mihawk has Conquerors Haki? Let me know down in the comments. And as usual, if you like anything I've had to say, please make sure you leave a like on this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Say